So thank you everybody for joining us for the third and final session in our Lunch and Learn series on internet safety. I have been the most excited about this one because as a parent, I can relate to all of this and deal with all of this. And we'll talk about on a daily basis with my children. It's an ongoing struggle to just navigate the ever-changing online technological world we live in. So we're really excited today to kind of dive into some conversation starter and the apps that your kids might be using and take a deeper look at all of that. So we want this to really kind of be an open discussion. We want you to feel free to ask questions along the way and share what you're doing as well. We want to hear from parent caregivers and what works for you and how do you talk to your kids, and we really want this to be an open conversation. So with today, I am Laura Baker with the Covering House, and with us we have Portia Thorpe. She is the Prevention Education Program Director with Child Advocacy Center of Northeast Missouri. Thank you, Portia, for joining us. We have Fran Gladney, who has been a parent and foster parent for many years, has lots of experience with children. And we have Jeff Weiner, who is a retired special agent with Homeland Security Investigations. So thank you all for taking time out of your busy lives and busy schedules to join our parent panel here and be a part of this. I am going to go ahead and share some slides with you all, and we will go through this. And like I said, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Okay, can everybody see the initial slide? Make sure we're on. Good deal. So getting the conversation started. I know this is probably perhaps one of the hardest things that parents struggle with. I know myself, I was thinking, you know, where do I even start? Are my kids even old enough to talk about some of these things? And we found that these conversation starters are a good jumping off point. Simply asking your kids, hey, have you heard of this, whatever this new app might be you've heard of, whatever this slang term that you've heard, or asking your kids if they've heard of it. Don't be afraid to learn from your kids too. So having open, honest conversation is one thing that we have seen throughout this whole internet safety series that our experts and things have repeatedly said over and over. Maintaining that honest communication with your kids is one of the best things that you can do. Blank asking them, what do they do when they receive a new friend request or a new follow request? Or what do they do when they receive a private message or a direct message from someone they don't know? And then probably one of the most important ones that opens the door to an even bigger conversation is, what do you do if you receive a private message or a direct message from someone that you do know, but it contains words or pictures that make you uncomfortable? Just these 4 simple conversation starters, you guys can find out a whole new world of information probably with your children and what's going on with them, or even their friends. They might not have experienced it, but I've talked with my daughter who's 13 about, have any of your friends received a picture that made you uncomfortable or that made them uncomfortable? So it's a good kind of starting point. This PROTECT, this is an acronym that we teach in our Trafficking 101. This is just an acronym you can use with your kids that they can remember to protect themselves, keep things private, research and gather additional information if they do, observe, keeping your eyes open to notice patterns, thinking, taking time to determine if the information really needs to be shared online at all or with a person in particular. Educate, learn as much as you can about your favorite app or the websites or the video games that they like to play. Consent, this is a big one. Understanding the do and don'ts of permission. Spending some time talking to your kids about consent will go a long way. And tell someone.
I got a comment about the games and videos. Have you guys heard of Fortnite?
Of what?
Have you heard of Fortnite? Fortnite.
Yes.
that game is really scary to me in that, first of all, uh, there are people that can come in and join your team, and you don't know the ages. It's not a age restricted game except if you're under 5. But you can talk to these people, you can share information, and I caution my daughter not to, give out her real name or answer any questions. And I have her
Yeah.
situated in my front room so I can hear what's going on as a way to protect her. But still, there are still ways that people can get around it. Like, how old are you? Or I'm 7, but I want to play, and this kind of stuff. So that is and the kids are really into this game, really. So that game is really, and Roblox. It's another
Hmm.
that is a game that the kids are really into, and you have to be really, really careful of what they give out. So
Yes.
teach with
Yes.
this, yeah.
You bring a couple good points there. One we'll talk about as well, is one of the things parents can do is having screen time or game time being in common area of your house where you can see and hear what's going on. And then definitely talking with your kid about not sharing personal information when they are playing these games, because as we learned in our last session, the quote was, there's no lifeguard in the pool. The internet is open to everybody, and anybody can get on there and pretend to be another 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old kid, playing games with these kids and learn all kinds of things about your children in your home.
Yeah.
And then important to tell them, making sure that they have someone they can trust to talk to if they come across something that makes them uncomfortable, to tell someone. So we're going to talk about a lot of these apps. A couple of them Fran just mentioned for us. The video games are huge, and of course the social media apps. So we're going to talk about some of these, and it's just really key to learn as much as you can about these apps and how to lock them down, to adjust the settings, making sure that you do have them restricted and as private as possibly can. Remembering nothing is ever completely secure. So it's just important to have these ongoing conversations and to be monitoring your kids' activity and their usage on a regular basis. So, Portia, do you want to talk about a few of these and a few of these tips for parents about like internet usage, and as Fran already mentioned, using them in common areas of the home and why that be important?
Yes. So social media, when COVID started, it was a big thing. And I think that's when TikTok really became really popular. And the idea is for kids to have fun with these things. But really, as adults in their life, we have to make sure that they're going to be safe. They're sharing lots of personal information on TikTok. Their background information is personal information. A lot of adults are on TikTok, and they create TikToks too. But again, you can chat with someone on TikTok just like on any other social media, and they're having these conversations. How old are you? What school are you going to? And so having that common area in your home to where kids are using any type of device, it can be a cell phone, it can be an iPad, it can be an Xbox, because that's what these kids are using for their entertainment. But also, we know that predators are out there on these different platforms. Right below TikTok is the Xbox Live, where they're playing a lot of those games like Fortnite, Among Us, Roblox. All of those games are very similar. They like to create their own world, and they like to compete. And so with those games, you can privately have your own room or team that you can play with, people you know. But a lot of the times kids like to play with people that they don't know. They want some more competition. They want to see what everyone else is doing. And that's not their fault, but making sure that they're being safe about it. We do a 5th and 3rd grade program on internet safety with students, and we tell them, we're not telling them that you can't play with other people, but if I'm playing a game with someone, they don't need to know my name. They don't need to know how old I am. So making sure that kids know that they don't have to share that personal information if they choose to play those games with other people. It's really about keeping that personal information safe. We have kids even say like, well, can I lie about my age? And we try to get them to really understand at one point you're sharing some information, that predator is going to continue to ask you more information. If you shut that predator down right away and say, I'm not telling you that, they're going to know that an adult has talked to them and told them not to share this information. So they're probably not going to continue to ask or try to gather any more information about that. And so I think just having those ground rules, especially starting at home, but also what's really important that we like to share with parents is this shouldn't just be a rule at home. When your kids go over to their friends' homes, making sure that they're implementing your rules that you're doing at home. A lot of the times we see kids go to other kids' houses, and maybe they're they're not being monitored. They can do a lot of different things. We see this on the school bus too, where kids are sharing all of this information and now downloading this app or this game. Having those parental controls put in place is going to be the safest thing that you can do for your kid. Also, on one of the slides that we passed, it said making sure the settings are set to private. What's really important with that, sometimes when our phones do updates, making sure that we are going back into our settings to make sure that everything is still set the same way that we had it set before. Sometimes they kick out those settings and our information might be public and we might not even know it.
Yeah, so some of these next few slides, we've got the popular apps that your kids are on and some that you might not have even heard of. So like with TikTok, there are similar apps such as the YouTube, the Reface now. These are all similar, and then we'll outline some of the main ones and then other apps that are similar to them in the next few slides as well. And I know, Jeff, you've seen some of these as well, have heard of some of these, dealt with cases involving some of these. So feel free to shed any light on them that you would like.
Yeah, I would like to talk about TikTok. When the TikTok videos, are they permanent? Can they delete those?
They can be deleted, but I feel it's like everything else out there on the internet. Once it's out there, it's out there. You know, you delete it from your account, but I feel like there's always going to be a way to recover it. And probably the most dangerous thing and it's in the news again right now too, with a girl that her mom had posted videos of her on TikTok. Once you put it out there too, anybody can save it. Anybody can save that video or download that video or save that picture, download that picture, and then they can do with it as they please. And you've got absolutely no control of that.
I have one little, and my little one was 8 years old, and she had when she came into the home, she was already using TikToks, making pictures of herself, making TikToks of herself. And I had to, because I didn't feel safe with her using it, I actually disabled it, and I informed her mom she couldn't use it while she was here at my home. Because a lot of, kids like to do a lot of dances. They like to do a lot of skits.
Yeah.
They like to tell things that maybe they wouldn't normally tell anybody because they're recording themselves. So I was just wondering if stay out there, permanent. How do you get rid of it if it could be gotten rid of?
I don't know that. I don't know, Jeff, if you have any insight in any of that as well. I mean, if you delete it from your account, I'm assuming there's always still a trail or a fingerprint, if you will, online at some point.
Yes, there is. I mean, it's like deleting something from your computer and it goes in the trash bin and it doesn't actually go away. In terms of TikTok, what's interesting about TikTok is it's owned by the Chinese government and they are keeping recordings of everything that is going down on TikTok. And so just in terms of that app alone, if it gets on TikTok, it's saved somewhere and can come back to haunt you at a later time. So yeah, and as far as other people being able to download something that's been posted, if it's been posted, chances are a friend, somebody has downloaded it, and it still becomes a part of history, we'll say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Snapchat is another really big one. I think this one really took off too, because the idea that people liked the messages and photos and things disappear from it. But again, to Jeff's point too, I feel like everything that once it's out there, it's out there. And even though the message might disappear, screenshots can still be taken and shared. I had a good friend of mine who's had a daughter in, it was her freshman year of high school, and she did not have a smartphone. Her parents had given her kind of a basic strip phone, but she had gotten an old iPhone from one of her friends, and she had that phone secretly, and she was on Snapchat and got manipulated into sharing a risky photo. And the young man that received the photo was a senior in high school, and then shared that photo with everybody in the school. And she got called to the school, and of course she had no idea. She didn't even know what Snapchat was, and she didn't know her daughter had this other iPhone or access to this other phone. And so it was a big ordeal, as you can imagine. So I feel like just as parents, just trying to stay in the loop of all of these is hard, but the more we talk about it with each other and have access to resources that different organizations put out, then I think we'll be better equipped to deal with it and more prepared. But similar apps to Snapchat, Facebook, of course, Instagram, Tumblr, where they share a bunch of videos and pictures as well.
One of the things with Snapchat, they have a for my eyes only. So that, I mean, if parents are monitoring the phones and devices, make sure to kind of look out for that, because that's where they could be. We see a lot of that sexting happening through that for my eyes only. It's supposed to be more secure, and you have to put a password in to get to it. So to kind of look out for that too.
Yeah, good point. Here we kind of talk about some of the games. Fran mentioned this one already, Among Us and Fortnite. Of course, we talked about the Xbox Live, Minecraft. My 7-year-old loves Minecraft. But just like many video games, the draw is they want to play with friends and they want to play with new people and you know, like challenge themselves and build worlds up and things like that. And that's fine. But to Portia's point here, it's making sure your kid knows what information is not okay to be sharing with people. But the in-game chat features are what is risky, because kids can still share personal information and be invited to privately in other apps, even through these gaming apps. And I believe, Fran, I think you had a child that received some messages in an in-game chat feature.
Yeah, and you have to, my daughter is 11, and she immediately asked me, you know, can I add this person or that type of information. I think what you guys are saying is imperative, that we do teach our children, hey, if it makes you feel uncomfortable, tell me about it. Let's talk about it. So yeah.
And
Hey, a lot of things that is drawing our children in, and it's keeping them occupied, and we're thinking they're safe. And there's been a way to get around being safe on those particular games and applications.
Yeah, that's what I tell everyone I know too, my friends and family and people that are parents. You know, you can think that you have these devices pretty locked down and secure, but I promise you don't. There's always a way around things, right? Yeah. And even your kids can find ways around things. There's apps that hide other apps within, so that if a parent is not really digging through a child's device, they might not even recognize that there's on there they shouldn't be on.
My daughter went into fortnight to make some changes without my permission. And so happened she didn't realize that she had to put a valid birth date on it, and she didn't address it. And that's when I started to receive emails, hey parent, you need to look at this. And I had no idea, right in the next room. I can
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. A lot of these apps on this slide are things that kind of like live chat rooms, and they can, for people who share common interests, they stream music together, watch videos together, but they can watch anything with anyone on these type of live room apps.
I think
these
what's
are just some of
interesting,
those here.
what's interesting about this list is I've been out of the business for a couple of years now, and there's 4 or 5 that I haven't even heard of before. And that just lets you know how things evolve and new apps are coming up, and it's for investigators and people, it's tough to keep track of, but for parents too, it's you've got to know what your kids are on.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because I feel that I thought I was pretty up to date on a lot of the apps, but when Portia shared some information with me, there was a couple on this list too that I've never even heard of. So it's, to Jeff's point, it's very hard to keep out everything. But again, your kids will tell you too, you know, like listen to their conversations. And if you're talking to them, you're going to know they're going to be talking about the latest app or the latest chat room, whatever that they're doing. These apps are kind of where they ask questions and then messages. This is like anonymous though, and that's the huge risk for this, because of the anonymity, it very quickly get off course to inappropriate conversations. I personally have dealt with any of the apps on this slide. My children haven't been on them, but I have heard about, especially YOLO and YIKIK. I've heard about those. But I don't know if, Portia, you have anything to add about any of these apps, or have seen in particular with them?
Yeah, we've seen different kids using Ask FM. And this is just, you know, kids are curious. Talk to your kids. You don't want kids teaching your kids about any type of situation. You want to be the adults that are teaching them these things. So if your kid is curious about something, don't brush them off. Answer that question. Otherwise, they're going to Google. They might get the right answer. They might get something else, or they're asking a friend or asking someone anonymously because they're uncomfortable asking someone face to face.
Yeah. WhatsApp. Oh, these messaging apps. I had an experience with the Kick app. These are alternative texting services. So kids can send texts and pictures on these apps with being logged in the phone history. And don't even really need service to do so. So WhatsApp, I know, is a good app for people if you're traveling international stuff, for adults to use. I've personally used it for that, but I discovered Kick on my oldest daughter, who is now grown and out of the home, but she came to live with us when she was teen, almost 14, and she had already been given a smartphone at a very young age, and that's how she kept in touch with her family. And I didn't really feel I could take that from her, so I just made sure to monitor it closely. And I found the Kick app on her phone, and there were many messages in there that I felt, you know, shouldn't be being sent between 13 and 10-year-old kids. So of course we had to have a long conversation about that, and we removed the app. But it's kind of sneaky because you think it's just a chat, or you might not even know what it is, and it doesn't save in the phone. And like I said, kids, you could take away your kid's phone or take away their service. I know a lot of cell phone plans now, you can shut off the data and things like that on your plan if your kid's going over the minutes or whatever, but they can still use these without that.
before I retired, I can't tell you how many kick cases I had and went through. It was the app of the time for kids to be on.
Mhm.
And the one thing that predators know is they know what apps kids are on.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that they are going to glean to. So again, any of these apps, again, Telegram and Discord, both I've had cases on, but Kick was huge back in the day.
It was. That was probably around the same time that my oldest, when she came to live with us, all her friends were on Kick. It was a big ordeal.
In Discord, that is one that they can have conversations with each other, but a lot of gamers use that. So if kids are on Fortnite, Among Us, they're probably on Discord too, where they can have those conversations with people.
Yes, good point. So we're going to share this PowerPoint. Some of these slides, these next few slides are include a link, but we wanted to highlight some parental control tools. I personally use some of this and some of I have not used, and we're not endorsing any of these one or another. We just want to provide our parents and caregivers with as much information as possible and additional resources that they can research and figure out what's best for them as they are monitoring their kids' safety and how they want to handle it. So these are just some options for you. The first couple things, Apple and Android both have their own family setup. So there are ways to set up your phones if your children are on your phone plans to where you can link certain things and monitor things and watch things. And it will alert you to different things as well. So there are links to those. And then the last on this slide are 2 third-party monitoring tools. These tools can be installed on your children's phones and alert you to a wide variety of things. It can alert you to bullying, which is another huge concern. I know we talk a lot about predators, but there's a lot of cyberbullying and bullying that goes on via group text messaging as well. That's another concern as parents. But Bark and Canopy will alert you to, inappropriate conversation, inappropriate pictures, even, children who might be threatened, all kinds of things. I know I personally have used Bark in the past, and I recently did a free trial with Canopy. I have them both. I can't say that I prefer one over the other. I think they both are pretty sufficient in what they're there for. But there are a couple options. I don't know, Jeff or Portia, do you guys have any experience with any of these or other ones maybe you've seen?
I
Yeah.
don't know. Go ahead, Portia.
We always recommend Bark. I have not used Canopy, so I don't know too much about that. And then we also provide the Apple and Android for parents as well.
So we'll jump into some question and answers, but also another kind of skate by this here a second as well, because these are options for you guys. One of the biggest things I think is just encouraging parents. It's really hard, right, to not give in when everyone around you is giving their third graders, iPhones and things like that. And it's really hard to explain to your child why they can't have one or why they don't need one. Or everybody, at the end of the day, everybody has to do what's best for their family, and every family has different communication needs and things like that. And we totally get that and support whatever everybody chooses is best for them. But we want parents to know that they have options. And these are a couple things that I have found that have been encouraging for me personally as a parent. Like I said, I've got one that's in and out of the house. And then I've got a 13-year-old and a 7-year-old. My 13-year-old is in 8th grade. She just got her cell phone. We opted to not get a phone because all the dangers and the risks were too great for me personally. And I feel that she needs to learn and understand some other things before we go that route. So we opted for a Gab phone. A Gab phone, Gab wireless, we have that linked here as well. So this phone has a minimum or a maximum of 10 contacts. I can program those contacts in this phone. And she can only get text messages and phone calls from those 10 contacts. There's no internet on this phone, so there are no apps and obviously no social media. It's really just a basic phone, and I can get in touch with her. It operates off of all of the major carriers' cell phone towers. So it serves the communication need I had with her. I know a lot of people say, well, I've already given my kid this phone, and you know, we like to tell people it's okay to go back and change your plan. It's okay to have a conversation with your kids and say, you know what? Yeah, you have an iPhone, or yeah, we've gone down this road with this device or that device, and I want to take a step back and I want to reevaluate that. Let's have a conversation about it, and maybe we go a different route. There's a huge campaign going on that's really taken off recently, and that's the Wait Until 8th. A lot of experts, medical experts, scientists, child psychologists, therapists, a lot of people coming out and supporting this and saying that it's important to delay giving a child a smartphone until 8th grade. So check out that campaign. They share a lot of really great articles and tips that I share with my daughter so she understands and can see that it's not just mom saying these things. This is what these experts are saying. This is what this study has shown, so that's helped me. They put out a lot of really helpful information. Some parents are even going as far as telling children and talking with their children about delaying social media until 16 or even 18. There's a link to a news story where a mom paid her teenage son $1,800 if he stayed off social media till his 18th birthday. And I think that's amazing. So many kids, their lives revolve around social media and the likes. And, in addition to just being, the safety issue of the predator issue, the bullying issues, it's, the effect it's having, the studies that are coming out about the effects that it's having on their mental health as well. So these are just some other options that I wanted to share with you guys. And I would love to open this up and hear, as you guys as parents, or maybe aunts and uncles or givers, how you guys think about all, or maybe what's worked for you guys.
Hi, this is Fran. Something you guys didn't mention, and I think it's worth mentioning, is that so I'm a foster mom, and my children sometimes come in to the family with already a cell phone to play game. Sorry, guys. To play.
Okay.
I'm gonna use my phone. And they come in with their phone that maybe a parent has passed down to them. I'm asking to mention that those phones be checked and cleaned and not locked down as well. My little one, my 8-year-old came in with a phone that had explicit information on it, pictures that the cloud would pass to both phones, the parent and back to the child. So those things also are to me is detrimental to a child. So one of the things,
very important.
Yeah, and I don't think we realize that when we pass our old phones to these children, that they could get a hold to information like when there's highlight, that information can come back that is very inappropriate for any child. So I have to go through their phones, take things off, clean things off. And I also notify the parents I did this, just so they know that, I'm trying to keep your child safe and help.
Very great. Does anyone else have anything to share about maybe something they have found helpful or something that worked for them when they were having these conversations with their kids?
Hi, Laura. This is Sharita.
Hey.
Hey. I've had the experience raising my my boys, they, like you were talking about with your daughter, just actually educating them with the different, things like this is what's happening, being very upfront with them. And then arming them with, if you are approached, like we can't be with you 24/7. And I know this is a important game that you like to play. But was able to arm them with, the details and say, if this were to happen, this is how you protect yourself. This is how you, inform your friends of it. Make sure that you get the name of the person, because at the time we were working really close with Jeff. So I was like, I have someone who will be able to, where I give the names to. So if someone comes into the chat room or someone's doing something, you make sure you, before you even do anything, write down their names, give it to me. You won't get in trouble. This is, we're here to stop people from trying to hurt kids. So just arming them with that knowledge that they are also here to help not only themselves, but also protect their friends too.
Yeah. Very good point. Again, I know it kind of seems like we're repeating ourselves about the communication with your kids, but that's what we've heard from the experts that, that we've had in all these specials this stays with us and stuff. It's just really talking to them about these things and making sure you're keeping those conversations ongoing as well. I don't know, Jeff, do you want to share a little bit about your background and what's seen in your investigations?
Sure. Well, I was a special agent with Homeland Security Investigations for about 24 years, and the last 6 or 7 years was devoted to what we call child exploitation investigations. The term has kind of grown. It started out as child pornography, then child exploitation, and now we refer to it as child sexual abuse material. But with those cases, I've had the opportunity to work, help identify victims, help locate victims. With HSI, our priority was always victim first standard. So a case can be made, but if it was on the back of a victim, then we wouldn't pursue it unless that victim was prepared and willing to go forward. But most of the time, cases can be made without a victim's testimony. So through that process, you meet the parents of these kids, and to a parent, it was always, I wasn't aware of what was going on. Some of the things that I would try to tell parents was that there was really no reason for a child to have their phone with them in their bedroom when they go to bed. Most of these things take place between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. These kids are on these phones, and it's if they need an alarm clock, get them an alarm clock. But electronic devices are best left outside the bedroom, and sometimes kicking off that internet, during the nighttime hours is also another possibility. But communication with your kids is really the key. It's you can put devices on their phones to monitor them and all of that, but just keep that dialogue open and be prepared for anything, because anything is happening out there.
Yeah. And Portia, what about you? Anything you want to share about what you've seen? And so you talked, when we spoke a couple of weeks ago, you talked a little bit about kind of like your interview and intake process about things you've seen in different apps that come along and things that you've seen that are common that maybe parents should know about?
Yeah, so I have a team that goes into the schools and we do prevention with parents, professionals, and kids. And in those kid programs, they are so open and honest with us about different, that's how we learn a lot about these new apps. A lot of them do the same thing, but everyone wants to be on this new app. And another part of our agency, we do see kids that have been victims of any type of abuse or neglect or have witnessed a violent crime. And we know now abuse is not just happening in person. A lot of it is happening online. It could really be, we see it a lot on these different apps that we've talked about today. Social media has just grown so much and it's going to continue to grow. And so that's why I think it's so important just to stay on top of what kids are doing.
Yeah.
I like how you had those questions at the beginning, because if we're asking, what is this game? What is this app? How does it work? Showing some interest versus just saying like, no, you can't get on that. No, I don't want you to do that, because
Yeah.
really it's kind of like their outlet. And it can be for good things as well. But we have started to see more victims through those social media apps and through the games as well. And kids are just more open, I think, now than we were before. Open to meet up with someone that they just know online. Open to, okay, this person is my friend because I've been gaming with them for 6 months, but they've never met them in real life. So really talking to our kids about that too, making sure that they're not meeting up with people who they don't know in real life.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of situations where they're meeting up because they were talking on Snapchat and this person is my friend and they're my age, and we know that's not the reality of it.
Yeah.
So just, yeah, again, I think it goes back to that open communication with your kids and knowing exactly, we might not know, it's hard to keep up with everything that gamer app is doing, but if we kind of get the idea of what they're doing, we can kind of figure out, okay, how could a predator take advantage of a child in this situation?
Yeah. I think along the lines of communication to having those conversations, also just being open to, as the parent, sometimes we want to work to, if your child make a mistake and you find that they've shared some personal information or something, I know myself, I immediately kind of go to the, oh my gosh, why do that? But it really helps to just to ask more questions and say, do you think that was safe? Or I recently had a conversation, and I talk to my kids this stuff all the time. And my 13-year-old was playing Fortnite online, and she had met this other girl and was playing this game. And so she was telling me about this new friend she had made online. And she said, yeah, we're in the same grade. We play the same instrument and band. And as she's talking, I'm thinking, okay, you've told the person how old you are, you've told this person in band, you've told this person what instrument, all this personal information that might not seem like a big deal, but it can be. And so instead of getting upset, I had to take a moment and I had to say, well, how do you know if she's in 8th grade? How do you know she's a she? How do you know? And so I just, when challenged her that, she took a step back and realized, she's like, I guess I don't really know. That's just what she said. And I said, do you understand how anyone can say anything online? And this person now, it might very well be another 13-year-old girl that you're just having fun with. It could be a 40-year-old man somewhere. And now you've told this person where you go to school, that you're in the band, how old you are. I said, do you see how that'd be a problem? And so when I challenged her a little bit with it, it really clicked for her. But I think to everyone's point, continuing to ask those questions and having those conversations with your kids is the best thing that we can do. That much wraps up all the information they wanted to cover Fran, do you have anything else to add from a parent perspective, or any other really helpful tips that you have found that's worked really great for you, maybe?
No, I'm actually learning something from you guys. To get up and to like, oh my God, and to relax and to start to ask questions. So I just got something from you guys that I can start to implement now with my 11-year-old
Yeah.
daughter, with my 8-year-old son. I think a lot of times as a parent, I don't think about the things you guys just said. I just assume everything in place, and I'm going to be one of those smart parents that it don't happen to. And I'm seeing that I've got a lot to learn as well.
Mhm. Yeah, it takes a village, right? But I think this has been really great. I hope this was informative for you guys. I learned some stuff too in preparing this information. Thank you again to Frank, Portia, and Jeff for taking time out of schedules to partner with us on this. We really appreciate it. And I hope that this will encourage parents and kind of empower them to take this online safety back into their own hand. You know, we can all learn something together. So I will make sure that the slides and the recordings are shared with everyone. We'll post them out on our socials as well and put them up on the website, so everybody who wasn't able to join us today will have access to all this great information that was shared here today. So thank you again for all of your time, and thank you, Sharon, for joining us, and Sharita. Appreciate you guys, and we will see you next time for our next series. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.